Okay, it's July the 14th, Tuesday, and all the Strattons and the Openshaws and Bethany are at Ashurst Lake near Flagstaff. And we're having a great big picnic lunch that everybody fixed. And we're going to go fishing and shopping and goofy golfing and baseball hitting and horseback riding. All of those things are available right here in this area. So have to hang in and see. Just watch and you'll see what we do. This is picnicking time right now. For Lee in the boat at Ashurst with all the girls and everybody on the bank waiting for him. Cliff's got the two has Chuck and Willie with him. Beautiful Ashurst Lake. It's a beautiful, beautiful lake. This lake is. Marlene, Marlisha, and Rachel gonna go out for a boat ride.
Next is Clark.
You got a fish. Bring him up, Marlisha, out of the water.
Look, man, you got two things, Dad.
We will eat dinner after all.
Oh, give me.
Look, how can you...
I'll shut my eyes. I'll get out of the way so you get somebody else in there. That's good. See, they go down inside. We were commenting about what a nice dormitory you have there.
Isn't that so?
Isn't it though? And no, just nobody here too. Yes. I bet they enjoy that.
Put a door on that. I just raised it in and put that plywood up there temporary. I've got a problem. I have to turn in out of the alley. Not far enough. I should have come back this way another 6 foot. So it well, that was one reason that I didn't.
That's it. Good positive.
But it won't be many years until we put Sullivan trailer around.
Do you put that?
What?
Say, Bethany, my cousin.
We're bowling. This is Wednesday. We've already been Deborah did extremely well yesterday when we came bowling. Touchdown again today. Deborah's very good. In fact, she had over 100 and something yesterday when we came bowling. She had the highest score of all the cousins. Deborah did. This is Gordon. Almost got a spare. And here comes Chuck. And he almost got a spare. We got a lot of good bowlers. Now Marlisha is ahead today. Marlisha already has 1 strike and 2 spares at 6 times up bowling. So Marlisha has done extremely well today. She's going to beat it. Here she goes again. Another strike. Well, maybe not. Looks like she was way left that I couldn't see. Willie just got a strike on his last one. I missed it. So let's see how he does now. Didn't quite make it. Okay, Debbie! Stratton reunion, July the 15th, Wednesday, 1987, and all the cousins are bowling. And here goes Marlisha. Son, make a strike. Willie's had 2 strikes in the last few minutes. He's getting pretty good. Pretty good. Chuck got 80 on his last game. This is a new game now. And maybe that's a practice one. Here comes Sir Kimball. I think one of all. Here's my pretty girl. the front row.
I'm not going to hold you on because I want you all just to show.
How wide can we go, Cliff?
Oh, we got plenty of room.
Will you take
Here. Sure, we'll just mention it. Be with this. All right. We'll sit right in front. We're going to have the big.
It's too late. We haven't got time for any of those big long sermons.
Okay, you ready? So let's.
Marsha, you had to do your...
Now, this is the Stratton clan. The front row is Grandpa and Grandma with Elizabeth Dana. The second row. Okay, everybody say hello. Deborah.
Hi, Uncle Chuck.
Hi, Carrie. What's your name?
Carrie.
Chuck. There's the girl that's always waving at the pictures. Do you see that? See that big chew of gum she has? Because that's what makes her look so feminine before church. And if she stuck out her tongue, it'd all be purple. The guys like purple tongue. See that purple tongue? And there's Kimball. He has, what do you have, strep throat? Look at that kid. He just stuck his tongue out. He has strep throat. And that's Clinton. Hi, Clint.
Wave daddy.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Marlene.
Hi, Dad.
You know that little guy. You've seen him everywhere. That's Craig. There's Mama in the back. Marcia Romney Stratton.
Daddy's looking at you.
Marlisha, you're on candid camera. There's Cliff. Mr. Macho.
He
Flex.
skipped us.
All right.
Uncle Chuck.
Uncle Chuck and Bethany in the back. I'm going to zoom up on Bethany. Hi, Bethany. Oh, she's bashful like her Uncle Cliff. All right, here comes the open shot, kids. What's your name, Miss Movie Star? You ought to see Rachel on the diving board. She is incredible. See that long blonde hair? Beautiful. Come on, who's hiding behind her?
This Mom.
Hi, Mom. There's
Another
Carol
Mom.
Ann. Hi, Megs. This is Aunt Margaret. She's kind of the boss around here next to Mom. She's the one that made this whole thing work. And there's Bishop Gerald Dana, giving his good bishop smile, thinking, I'm going to raise your tithing, fella, if you don't turn that thing off.
That's right.
Uncle Cliff, you forgot Benji and Will.
Where's Benji and Will at?
Looking right down there.
In the middle.
Oh, Benji, the fisherman. How many fish did you catch, Benji?
2.
2? How big was the biggest? Show us how big the biggest
Don't
one
throw
was.
your arm out now.
Oh, yeah, there you go. No, they were big. They were big.
Willie.
Hey, Willie.
Hide behind Grandpa.
Hiding behind Grandpa.
Sit up, Mom. There you go.
All right, Willie, say hi, everybody.
Sit on Grandpa.
We want to hear your voice. Say, I'm the best looking Stratton there is.
I'm the worst looking Stratton there is.
We won't argue with you.
Let me get you, Cliff.
Let's get one with you.
Everybody say goodbye.
Okay,
My name.
Dr. Stratton.
I'm camera shy.
Honey, nobody can see behind you.
I am very camera shy, Mom.
Nobody can see behind you.
Married to Otto Flatten, widowed and married Walter Lazar. So I am Elizabeth Edwards Treat Flatting Lazar, and I am the matriarch of this family now because all the rest of the ones that were bigger than me are not here now, so I get to be the big one. And I get to be the boss.
And she's 88 years old.
I was born in Tucson, Arizona, 8th-generation family,
What year?
and I was born on March the 2nd, 1899.
1899, kids.
So I am now 88 years old, and if anybody is any older, let me know.
No, you're twice my age. I'm 44.
Yeah.
Does how we feel have anything to do with age?
Yeah, maybe we can run a close contest with that. Okay.
Well, that's great.
So we'd like to welcome all of you to our official family home evening for the Stratton Family Reunion. What is today? July 9th, 1987. The 12th. It's the 12th.
That's right,
It's the 12th, 1987. We're going to sing one verse of Love at Home. I forgot to ask someone to lead that. I will lead that. And then Benjamin's going to say our opening prayer. Love at Home. There is beauty all around. Okay.
There is beauty all around when there's love at home. There is joy in every sound when there's love at home. Peace and plenty here abide, smiling sweet on every side. Time does softly, sweetly glide when there's love at home. Love at home.
Show you a few of the things that I have treasured that my grandmother, Aunt Lizzie's sister, gave to me, and that Mother has given to me and passed down to share with all of you. I want to just show you some of the things, and I'm sure that Aunt Lizzie can give me some more information on just who made them and what the history is behind them. Now, I believe that this was made by your mother, Margaret Frances Hughes Treat. And she was apparently quite an artist in her day. And this was a wall hanging that was in her home.
She painted that?
It's painted on velvet.
Can I tell you that this lady, my mother, lived and died. She died in 1904. And prior to that, these things that are her relics are all prior to 1904. So you will know how old they might be. I don't know when before that, but she was married to my father in 1889 and died in 1904. And so these things, my mother was an artist. She was an artist, and so these things were really beautifully done.
Do you have a picture of her? Oh, they'll show us the pictures.
Yes, we're going to see pictures in just a minute. Yes, that's great. Thank you. That helps to put the dates on. Here's another one of her tapestries for the wall. I understand at one time it was much brighter colors than.
Very beautiful.
It's still beautiful even now. In fact, I'm waiting to make a room where I can just really display all of these things beautifully, the way they should be displayed.
But they're telling us that those things are over 100 years old.
Well, yes, they are
Right on
about that
100, not
time.
over.
In 20 years, they'll be 100 years. So, well, they're
Sure.
right
That-
out
from
for
her
sure
death.
they'll be 100. They could easily be 100
She
right
could
now.
have.
They're easily over 100
Of course, she
years
was born in 1868 and died in 1904. So that is the period of time that she lived, and she could have done some of these
And
at
this
any
was,
time.
and this was an old piano stool cover, piano bench cover. You can see it's quite stained.
And these are ribbons that are
These are
put on here and embroidered.
I would say if you girls would all do something like that and pass it down, when you are dead and buried 100 years, and all your great-grandkids will be going, ooh,
Oh,
just lose it.
and then this is a little bodice that, part of a dress that she, it looks like either was making or had made and it torn apart.
She was tiny.
But look how tiny she was. Is there anyone that almost would be Lizzie's size, I think. You'll have to see the hand stitching on this and how beautifully done it was.
Pass it
Just-
around. That one.
Show me the hand stitching, Meg, so I can get up close. No, that's okay. Just sit where you are, but show me. Show me where the hand stitching is.
Well, you can see all the buttonholes are hand sewn. All of the stitches inside. Well, now some of they did have a sewing machine. They had one of the first sewing machines in the whole territory, and so this was stitched on a sewing machine. At the hand
All
work.
the people in that time period were small. If you go to museums,
Well, they had to be because they corseted them in very tight, and they had to have very small waistlines to be a chic.
being in fashion.
But their shoes were all little tiny, you know, like this. And even men's shoes. The biggest men's shoes you find back in the 1800s were a size 8. Well, now we're healthier, we live longer. Most people died at 40, 57 or 40, something like that was the
36 when she died.
Picture of my
was the lifespan.
her mother. She's the one right here in this picture, and of course, she's in these pictures here. You may even.
Now, is this their grandma?
This is my mother.
Your mother.
This is your
And
mother.
then on this side is my mother, but this is her sister, and my father's sister. Those are two aunts from, and this is at my grandmother's home, but I cannot tell you the people in it.
Would be your great. As she was married, and this is Margaret Hughes Treat.
Three great-grandmother, the one who did all the artwork.
She
is
was
her mother.
my mother. She was the mother of Margaret, your Pat's mother, your grandmother.
She was my grandmother.
Let me put. They would have a
Tiara.
They would have had a kind of a comb back here that would have held this up like this, so that when she had it around on her like this, it would. I can't see what I'm doing here, but she would have this kind of puffed up here because she would have a comb on it.
This is the Margaret Frances Hughes Treat mantilla, wedding mantilla, and Meg's used it when she got married, and it was 103 years old when she wore it.
You've been married how
Now
long?
we've been married, Gerald, how long?
Oh,
17 years, almost 17 years, 16.
103, so that's 120 years old.
18 years. This is 69. This is 87.
No, now I'll tell you about that.
123 years old.
So that mantilla is 123 years old.
My stepmother.
That I brought, that's what I've been looking for. And when I find it, I will give it to the head of each. I will give it to the head of each household. Margaret Frances Hughes Treat, who we've been talking about, she did beautiful embroidery work, and also she had these beautiful doilies that she made. And I have a full set of them, and I wish I could find those. They're in the house somewhere. If anybody finds a sack that has some aqua-colored fabric in it, these picture frames are wrapped up in it. And the picture frames has a kind of a maroon magenta background of velvet. And this velvet was velvet that your my grandmother, Margaret Black, used in her jewelry store windows to display the diamonds and the watches. And I would go there in the summer, and my favorite thing to do would be to redo her window and put all these beautiful velvet and the diamonds and everything on it. And so Mother gave me some of that velvet, and so I cut out that for the background. So the velvet is from your Grandma Black's window from her jewelry store, and then the beautiful white doily is the doily that was made by Margaret Frances Hughes Treat, by Grandma's mother, my grandma's mother. And here's a napkin ring that says Maggie on it. That was whose?
Well, that was my mother's.
And the napkin ring?
Uh-huh.
And that was Aunt Lizzie's mother?
Yes, this is the same woman that
This
we're
is the
talking
same
about.
one that we're talking about.
Okay, listen, Grandma.
Tell us the story.
My grandfather and grandmother, my mother and father, and my sister and I, and my Aunt Sis and her husband, Uncle Slim, we all went fishing. We went to Greer, where we all went lesson. The men went out to go fishing in one of the Greer lakes. Bunch Lake. They got about 50 feet from the shore and remembered they hadn't got their worms. So my Uncle Slim, without thinking, stood up in the boat. It capsized, and my father's foot was under the seat and caught. And everybody said, "Go get Grandpa. Swim out and get Grandpa," because he had a stroke and he couldn't swim. He was paralyzed on one side. So everybody went to get Grandpa and save his life. And my mother knew that my dad couldn't swim, so she went out to find my dad. She couldn't find him, and he had his foot underneath the boat. And so she dived down, and she got him loose and brought him in. And she had that watch on. She went in clothes and all, went and saved my father's life. And when he got she said, "Girls, get this water out of your bag." And she had my sister pump one leg, and I pumped one leg, and she had my Aunt Sis running to get a doctor, and somebody else, and Uncle Slim hold his tongue, and somebody else put him on a rock and roll him and get the water out of his, and she saved his life.
Who has the
That
watch?
was
Show
your
me
dad,
Cliff
right?
Cliff the
That was
watch.
your dad that had it?
It has
Or your
diamonds
grandpa?
and
My mother saved my
Your,
father.
your father?
Yeah,
So mom and dad, right?
my mom.
That's the one with all the.
Sing and keep sacred covenants. Seek promised blessings of the priesthood through obedience. Live my life to claim the blessings sweet of exaltation. My testimony growing each new day. I walk by faith, a daughter of heavenly parents, divine am I in nature by inheritance. The Spirit whispers of my mission, my individual worth. So I seek for precious knowledge, for learning and for growth. I understand the meaning of accountability. Every choice for good or ill is my responsibility. I want to build the kingdom, and good works is the key. For doing what I know is right, I show integrity. I walk by faith, a daughter of heavenly parents, divine am I in nature by inheritance. And someday when God has proven me, I'll see Him face to face. Just for here and now, I walk by faith. I walk by faith, a daughter of heavenly parents. Divine am I in nature by inheritance. And someday when God has proven me, I'll see Him face to face. But just for here and now, I walk by faith. It's just for here and now, I walk by
I'm sure that all of you will have known that you came from beautiful people. We have had a very wonderful background, and following our background that I am an age from, I see all these beautiful faces that are going to keep our heritage living forever and ever. You are going to be the mothers and fathers of our future generations. But I would like you to know something about your generations. And if you will bear with me, I will try to give you a little history of our lives. In that first picture of my mother and father, my mother was a child of the very famous and renowned pioneer Arizonian Samuel and Athanasius Hughes. My mother was Margaret Francis, and she had, in 1889, she married Frank Shrewsbury Treat. Frank Shrewsbury Treat was born and raised in Atchison, Kansas, and came to Arizona as a young man, about 18 or 19, on a cattle train because he had just got out of school and was looking for a future. And he found his future in Arizona, and he found the best part of the future was this very beautiful and lovely Margaret Francis, whom we know as Maggie Hughes. Maggie and Father were married very, very, I didn't mean to say that. They were married one very early morning by chance. Father was on his way on a cattle train, taking cattle from Arizona back to wherever, Missouri or Kansas. And when he got to the little town of Wilcox, the cattle had to be taken off the train to be watered. And he began to get worried, quite worried, about his little friend that he left behind. This gentleman in this picture, whose name was Van Kuren, and he didn't like it because he was kind of sweet on this Margaret. So he decided, while the cattle were watering, he would hike on a freight train back to Tucson, where they were, and he arrived about 5 o'clock in the morning at my grandmother's home, and he woke them all up, and he said, I brought the preacher, we're getting married. And he got married, and then he left and went back to his cattle train and on his way, but he left his little bride married so Van Kuren couldn't beat his time. So this is Margaret and Frank Treat, my mother and father, and because of them, they had, I've got these mixed up now. The 7 children are in this picture, and this little picture was taken in 1904, and the background is our home that my grandparents gave to my parents after Father came back, and then they really had a marriage. And so this is how the Treat family began. And in this picture was taken at the same time of my mother's death in 1904. And this is the little family that she left. And I'll tell you their names, then we'll pass it around.
Okay, point to them and show us their names. Point to them on the picture and give us their names.
I'll hold it while you
Hold it
point.
right there, I had it.
Oh.
That's perfect.
Now you point.
Okay. The man in the background, this is on a bicycle. The man in the background was a friend of my father's from Atchison, Kansas, that had come to the funeral, and his name was Luther Higby. But then on his shoulder was the second child from the youngest, Ted, known as Ted, but he was Theodore Cooper. And then sitting right up here with his hair right straight back and blonde is your grandmother, Margaret Treat. And then sitting next to her is the one that we have known as Aunt Sister. She was named Adonijah from her grandmother. Our grandmother was Adonijah. So this is, but she never went by Adonijah. It was always Aunt Sis. And so then, of course, this beautiful little child with the hair bow has to be me. And this is Brother Frank, who was just a year older than me. And this is our baby, who is Dick. He was Richard Garrier, but he was always known as Dick. And so these are the children of the Treats. Those, and this, of course, then is a later picture of Father as I remember him.
Aunt Sis used to always tease us.
He was quite a figure around there, and he was very dashing and very handsome. And he moved then to Benson because he had a good friend that was a Republican, And he and the Republican both ran for the same office, and the Republican won. And Father decided that it was time for him to get out of politics, so he moved to the little town of Benson, where about 900 people, counting the cats and the dogs, and all the little Mexicans and the little Indians and the little Chinese people all lived. And this is where we made our home, was in Benson, Arizona.
What year was
In
that?
1909.
And this is 1909 when Father moved to Benson. And this is a panoramic picture of Benson. And this is our home in Benson. And then your your grandmother, Margaret Black, inherited this one on his death. And this is the home now, and she sold it to some people by the name of Gardeners who still live there. And this is the home as it is now. And on the other side is one of my uncles, but you can't tell much about him. And this picture is a picture of the first white-faced Herefords introduced into the state of Arizona. And this is a picture out at the ranch, and they were all celebrating the arrival of the cattle that he brought in. And you can't see them very well, but Father is standing here in the foreground. And then there is a lady in the picture holding an infant, and that is my sister Mabel, who is the oldest in our family. And so this is a very prized historical picture because of that.
The white-faced Herefords, they're the brown ones, kids. The white faces that you see in a lot of the ranches around.
Well, this was taken now. They call it out at the Tortolitas, which are mountains out there. And then on the opposite side of this is a picture of the Sam Hughes home and grandfather Hughes and my sister Mabel. I have a sister Mabel, and incidentally, if I take time to tell you, she is now 96 years old, and she lives in Quantico, Virginia. Or really, she lives in a town called Triangle, which is right outside of Quantico. So that is Mabel. And Mabel was the first child in the Creek family. Now, a little story of my father and my mother and this same Mrs. Higbee. They were friends that used to come and visit us periodically. Well, they used to come and they used to take a lot of pictures. And so this is Father and Mrs. Higbee. And in the back, peeking over Daddy, is my mother, Margaret Frances Hughes. And then behind Daddy is my sister Addie, or Aunt Sis. And the front is the baby, and that's my brother Frank. And this was taken before I was born. So, and then there's a little picture here of a child. This was Mother's third child, and his name was Tommy. And when he was 2 years old, he contracted diphtheria and died. And my mother was at that time carrying your grandmother, and she had diphtheria following this. So this is Tommy, who died.
Could you explain to him what diphtheria is?
Diphtheria was a very contagious disease that is no longer. However, I recently heard a child had it. It was some type of a disease to the throat. I don't know too much about it, but your grandmother always had, they said she was a germ carrier. But she had it, I think she had it at least twice during her lifetime when she was small.
Don't you turn black?
I had diphtheria when I was a kid.
And
When I was a sophomore in high school.
you can't see this picture, but this is Daddy and Ted.
Just a minute. He's
I
gonna say
had diphtheria when I was a sophomore in high school. And my very best friend had it too. We went up to a little town of Delta, which had been quarantined. The whole town has been quarantined.
Now, I'm telling you about the Treat family. But I would like now to tell you the background of the Treat and Hughes marriage. So my mother was Margaret Hughes Treat, and my mother's father and mother were Sam and Adonijah Hughes. Now, of course, I don't have to explain that to Clifford Stratton over here, and his family probably knows more about it than I do. But anyway, our grandfather came into the area, into the Tucson area, in the about the year of not 1855 or 6.
That's 10 years before the Civil War started. Does that give you an idea of when it was?
Arizona was at the time prior to 1854. Arizona was a portion of Mexico, and in 1854 the United States bought the territory from Mexico to make the state of Arizona. And so my grandmother, though, was born in Mexico in 1850, and her name was this Adonijah Hughes, Adonijah Santa Cruz Hughes. And Adonijah and my grandfather, Samuel Hughes, married at the Santa Vera Mission, and our background, and I will tell you this, that you are a family of 8 generations born in the state of Arizona, considering that grandmother was born actually in Mexico, but was Arizona. Yes.
It's the Santa Vera Mission.
And I have a book here. So grandfather Sam Hughes was a very famous man, and he was married to Adonijah. And this is a picture of 2 of his sons, Dave and Sam. And in that one picture with my mother was a picture of my mother and Dave and Sam.
And here's another picture of Sam Hughes.
You might tell them that, well, I will. There's a school down in Tucson. This is the Hughes School.
Samuel Hughes School.
And you walk in the front door and there's whole pictures over the whole wall.
And I'll have you know that my mother painted that. No, she didn't paint that one. The one that my mother painted of him is in the Masonic Hall in Tucson. This is mother with her 2 brothers, Sam and Dave. And they were the 2 first children. But don't waste any time thinking that they were spoiled, because they were the sisters and brothers of not 10, but 15 children. And my mother was the 2nd child of the family, and Sam and Dave were
You kids know whenever she says my mother, that's your great-grandmother she's talking about.
Yes, I'm talking
See,
about
she
Margaret
says, "My
Hughes.
mother." No, it's just
In the picture, it looks like your mother is the oldest in that picture.
My mother. See, I'm talking about my mother, but she also is the mother of Margaret Black,
And my mother,
of Pat's mother.
your grandmother.
Now this is
Turn that
Adonijah,
light on in the corner, and that
This
light
is a
there. Put
picture
them both up on high.
of Adonijah in her late years, and when she was around 80, I think, or 82. But in they were married in 1862 in the Santa Vera Mission. But in 1912, and that's a long time ago, they celebrated their 50th anniversary. And this is a picture of at that anniversary time. And in the picture is my grandmother and grandfather, and their first child is this lady, also Lizzie. But she was not Elizabeth especially, she was, the Spanish pronunciation is Isabel. And so she liked Lizzie, so she had always went with Lizzie. And then this is Lizzie's daughter, and And this is Lizzie's husband, who was J. Knox Corbett. And this is the daughter's daughter. So this was 1, 2, 3, 4 generations.
And the Corbetts are very famous rich people in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, well, there's
They
quite a lot
restored
of...
the home.
And their home was there. At this time in Tucson, they were infested a great deal by the surrounding Apaches. And so security was pretty shaky. So the mission was the only place that they could go to be married, because that was the only church in the area. And the mission was 9 miles south of Tucson. So periodically, probably like once a year or 6 months, the people that wanted to be married got together and they formed a regular caravan, and then the soldiers took them to the mission. And they would spend the day there, and all the people would have their weddings one by one or however. And so this happened to my grandmother and grandfather. And my grandmother, Adonasha, was 13 years old, and my grandfather, Sam Hughes, was 29 years old.
She was 13 when she was married.
Oh. Carrie, you're 13.
Deborah, you're 13. Your great-grandmother was
This is a picture.
It's like marrying somebody
Then,
29, you two.
Uncle Chuck's
Chuck,
age.
how'd you like to marry
Marrying something of Uncle Chuck's age.
in Arizona. She was the mother of everybody. Now Tom was a brother of Sam Hughes, and Tom had a family of 9 children. The first and the last were girls and 7 boys. And the mother was killed in an accident when the baby was just 3 months old, and she was the age of my sister Addie. Well, Aunt Annie took those little children and raised them, and she was just a very normal lady that I don't know where or how, but she raised those children, and then the father got killed, so she took them all over, and each one of those 9 children were college educated. And they were each one sent to school and made their way because of her. But she had a big home, and because she wasn't married, all of the children, and I'm speaking of all the grandchildren like all of you would be, everybody went to Aunt Annie, because Aunt Annie was the one person that everybody loved, because when they didn't get along at home or when things went wrong, it was always Aunt Addie that ironed everything out. And then as she got older, she used to take in the little Mexican children, because she lived in a little Mexican area, and they had what they call a barrio libre, which is the poor, part of the town, and all these poor little Mexican children. She lived right near the school, so she gathered them all up at noon and fed them their lunches every day. She cooked lunches for maybe 50 or 40 kids. And then as time went on, she adopted different children, and she didn't really adopt them legally, but she was like a foster mother, and she took care of children. And then when she was so old that she left to live in another home with one of her children, she donated her home to what we call the Arizona Children's Home, which still exists in Tucson. However, it is not the same home now. They have a different home that they have built. But she donated this home to the Arizona Children's Home, which started the children's home for little foster children. And this was our Aunt Annie Hughes, and we loved her. She was a very precious and a very loving person, and very, very endearing. And everybody used to go to Aunt Annie's. And on one day, on Saturdays, Sister and I used to go down there and stay all night because on Sunday morning, hot cakes started coming up like this on the table, and it wasn't very long till the hot cakes were down like this.
Ready? We have been born as defiable to goodly parents who love the Lord. We have been taught and we understand that we must do as the Lord commands. We are as the army of Helaman. We have been taught in our youth, and we will be the Lord's missionaries to bring the world His truth. We have been saved for these latter days to build the kingdom in righteous ways. We hear the word our prophet declares, let each who's worthy go forth and share. We are as the army of Helaman. We have been taught in our youth, and we will be the Lord's missionaries to bring the world His truth. We know His plan and we will prepare, increase our knowledge through study and prayer. Daily we'll learn until we are called to take the gospel to all the world. We are as the army of Helaman. We have been taught in our youth, and we will be the Lord's missionaries to bring the world His truth. We are God's children, we have received the blessings promised to Abraham's seed. We'll share the gospel, this is our quest, to every nation on earth is blessed. We are as the army of Helaman. We have been taught in our youth, and we will be the Lord's missionaries to bring the world His truth, to bring the world His truth.
And this is Albert H. Black. And Elizabeth just told you about the Hughes side and the Santa Cruz and the Borquez side. This is the other side of the family. This is Grandpa Black's side. Okay? This is his daddy and his mother. And the artifacts that I have, let me tell you the story. Albert Black was a salesman. He used to sell farm-type equipment. And he was away from home when his wife, who had a baby, went out because she was cold, went out to get some coal, and she slipped on some coal out in the coal shed. And rather than hurt the baby, she twisted and fell and had the baby land on top of her. And as a result of that injury, she died a few days later. Okay, so Albert H. Black came back as quickly as he could, and of course his wife was soon passed away thereafter. And he then, after a while, married a woman named Rose McGuire, which is this woman here. You can't see that, Mom, probably. Okay, but Albert H. Black, this is his wedding ring here. And I'll pass this around. This is Albert H. Black's wedding ring. that Eliza Jane Morrison gave him, I assume. Okay, and this is Rose McGuire's ring that she wore, only someone ripped off the stone. Okay, but this is the wedding ring, and so we'll pass these around for everybody to take a look at.
That's my father and grandfather. Black. My name is Black.
That's Mama's grandpa, right?
He told me, son, you're going to meet a lot of girls down there, and he says you go with them and have fun and everything else. But when you get ready to get married, he said, I want you to come back to Utah and get your little Mormon girl and marry her. And, well, you can imagine how I felt. But I got married down here and took your grandmother up to meet my parents. And walked in the door and, well, I'll make the story good. Dad wasn't home when we got there, and Patricia Stratton was in the kitchen with my mother when Dad came home. And I met him at the front door, and came in the house, and just then, just before Grandma, your great grandmother, and your grandmother came in from the kitchen. Why, I told Dad, I said, you remember you told me when I went to Arizona to be sure to come back and marry a good little Mormon girl? And he said, yes. I said, well, I'm sorry, Dad, but I married a black girl. His face kind of turned a little bit funny, you know. And, he swallowed a couple of times, and about that time, in came Mom and Grandma, and he took one look at her, and he just gathered her up in his arms.
He was so glad I wasn't the black girl.
He loved you forever, didn't he?
But,
Will you look at her dress? Where'd it go?
Right next to Benson.
Did you know that
They were there in 1909, was it?
that was the history that you were in Will
He was 5 years old when
you know my family was in Will
Your father?
No, we didn't live in Wilcox.
He was born in St. David in 1904.
Better be getting me.
Two scouters that taught us that crazy
Oh.
song were
Hi.
No, it's not very big at all. 1,000 or two maybe.
As for tonight, because they're the ones that started this whole thing, okay?
and
A
their
few years
anniversary
ago.
is in a couple
And
weeks.
their anniversary is in a couple of weeks, and their birthday is in about a month, each of them. August and July. In fact, Mom's is just real soon. So we got them a present from each of the kids, which is all of the kids and grandkids. And we all know that Dad needs this real bad, so we'll let Dad open his first.
Explain it to us, Mom.
So let's see, we show them what it is.
Beautiful.
Okay, what we have, what Grandpa has in the scripture case, it has one of the early Santa Fe trains, and it has the years that he worked on the railroad. From June of 41 to July of 79, he worked on the railroad. And this is the newest one. Grandpa likes to carry a lot of junk, I mean extra things with the scriptures. So he has the big section here where he carries his sticks. Then he has another equally big section over here where he can put all of his notes on Blood Atonement, Mountain Meadows Massacre, and those kinds of things. So that's Grandpa's present from his kids.
And you did the leather
Yeah,
work?
me and my boys did the leather work on there.
That's an old diamond stack, 242 engine.
And nobody has that pattern on their thing because we had to go to the Phoenix Library, and I took some of Marcia's brother-in-laws, son-in-laws, and we went and found that, and then we reduced it down, so that is unique. You're the only one to have that pattern exactly from that train. That's the real thing. We got that out of an old history book.
I'm sure that's the real thing.
In the Phoenix Library.
242, two wheels on front, four drivers, and then two trailing wheels. The old diamond stack. I think I've only seen one of them in my life.
And it also says, read what it says up there, up above on top.
Yes.
Bishop Clifford Stratton.
To remind him that he's still a bishop at heart. Once a bishop, always a bishop.
Who did that work on it?
The boys did. Me and my boys.
Gee, that makes it very special.
And it also has a pocket up here, Grandpa, in case you don't. The other pocket isn't big enough.
Another one here?
Yep.
Hey, now I can get it all.
Okay, and we have something special for Grandma. If you look around, see these? Grandma loves brass swans. And look up there on the mantle. She loves. And in the other room and behind Uncle Jerry, there's some brass swans.
I defy you to look anywhere in this house without seeing a swan.
Okay, but she loves brass swans especially. And we looked everywhere. We found one of these. There was one of these in all of the Phoenix Mesa Tempe area. I want to give this to Mom. That doesn't say that it's swans, but it's.
Oh, how gorgeous.
It's a music box. Wind it up, and it plays Swan Lake.
Oh,
Pretty.
Let me help you. You should wind it this way.
that way.
And then that's the on off. So hold on your hand and we turn it on and let everybody see it go around.
I love it so much. Thank you all. Thank you.
So that's our presents for our mommy and our dad.
Aren't they beautiful?
Okay, now we can have banana splits.
So was our kid.
Now banana splits.
That one goes up, that one goes down, that one goes
See, we got the best kids in this whole wide world. We're so proud of I'll play that and think of you kids every time.
So you'll always remember our reunion in 1987. Okay. Put on Father Keno. Get it started.
Lizzie, one's in
This movie, Chili's.
No, turn it on.
What you take, you eat.
Where's the thing?
I think you eat.
Whoa!
Carolyn.
Yeah.
Stop.
Marlene.
Just kidding.
Say yes, ma'am.
I don't still be just kidding. Just kidding.
Beverly.
Cliff, Haas. What?
One of your girlfriends.
One of your girlfriends in Reno said that she promised that she would call you this week. Been trying to find you.
Whoa, Clifford! Who, me?
I want yours. Yours look a lot better than mine. I don't have one. It's that, I think. You don't think I will? Are you challenging me, ladies? Are you challenging your Uncle Cliff?
Yeah, which one? You?
Excuse me, I got some more refreshments.
Ooh, boy. Strawberry.
Here's
Vanilla, huh?
She's had one bowl. Let's see
who
what
the name's napkin?
Give it strawberry.
Jeremy.
Fill that.
Vanilla?
Sit down and
Give it to double kiss.
Watch.
You want to fill all of that?
Dad.
I'm learning Aisha. Come on.
Dad.
What?
How do I turn this thing on?
Let me get the pie away.
I know a better thing than that.
Well, see, you're supposed to move in this one.
Oh, I am.
Uh-huh.
Very nice to know you.
Kimbo and Benjamin, I mean you too. Second. No water fights.
It's right over.
I said I do.
Willie, would you two go?
That great big one over there in the white shirt.
The slides are just a little bit.
That's my baby. And we went home to Grandma Openshaw's last week. I know, and we all have it too. We just keep forgetting to put it on them before they go.
Get a big one, Chuck. Hey, handsome. Hey, handsome. Aw, you humble Strattons. Hey, gorgeous. She gets a free base or else a free nose job. Grandpa, no pressure, but the bases are loaded 2 outs. Well, we got it was on second. That was a forced out. Deborah was on second. No, Deborah. Yeah, she on the left. Did it? Yeah. Alright, here we go. All the way out there, Grandpa. Oh, that's good, Grandpa. Okay, guys, stay right here. Grandpa, you're not going to hit that hard, I promise. You're going to try. Hey, get back there by foot. What is this? This 4 foot lead. Get right there. What is it? Okay, it's long you have. Margo, I need my glove. Come here with Daddy. I know. Catcher, pitcher, first baseman, second baseman. You're up here. No, kids. We got Joe, first baseman. Then right to that field. Hey, where's my shortstop at? Center shortstop. And right field. That's one makes, okay? This is your action, all right? All right.
Way to watch. Make that rag arm work.
Check it out.
Leave my cup alone. Nice swing.
Chuck, you too, 'cause she might throw that bat. She doesn't know how to handle it, so you stand back, son. Oh, that's all right. Fine. Oh, one more. Here we go. Almost. Nice throw. You should make catching. You got a tree. Oh! Strike!
That was over her shoulders.
Hey, don't harass my players. You swing whatever you want to swing at.
Perfect for a basketball player. Those shorts look familiar?
Yeah, they're mine. Good catch, Willie. Good catch.
Willie, stick your arm up.
You're on the other team?
Hey, Benji, stand back, son. He's an animal. Hey, beautiful.
What's
base. Up. We got 1.5 outs. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Play the batter. We got
The base is exactly big enough for both of you.
Well, you should swing and show him where you swing.
Where it is.
Lean into that ball and put the bat on.
Go. There's no force. Stay there, Kimball. There's no force. No force. Okay, Willie.
All right, good swing.
All right. Marsh. Is that to Margot? No. Falls Margot.
One more, huh? Keep on going.
You're up, Rach, next. Not bad.
Woo! Here we go. Woo!
Well, Margaret, you got to run for Grandpa. That was for you, Grandma. Two down. Okay, Clifford Lee. Get a good one.
He's off the base.
Hey,
I
struck you up.
You have to run.
Strike one. 1 of 3. You had your chance, folks. Now it's ours. Nice catch. Okay, who was the last one up?
Willie, I was.
You were?
You're the one to strike, let me tell you. You don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, look at me, Bethany and Krieger and Elizabeth. Bethany, that's it, girls. Say hi. I'm playing in the sandbox that Grandpa made for me. Yeah.
What I'd ask you to do is be very careful climbing on and off the engine, okay? And don't touch any of the controls on there. I'll explain as best I can everything to you, but I'll let each of you sit down in the seat there, and we'll take a look and let you toot the whistle or whatever.
That's the first thing you said
okay.
you wanted to do. So
all right.
You want to go?
Let's go take a look at it. Yeah,
you
come
want
on.
to?
slide on video. I got to sit in the seat too.
Okay, now we can't stand in the middle.
Where's the ice box?
I think it's back on the far end now. Should be.
And only we used to have a coal stove, and we had a little what we call a crow's nest just underneath this here little place where we could build just a little fire, you know, and cook real fast. And time you'd be out on the road for 24 hours or so, it's 36 hours, and you slept in here, you cooked here, and you were running down the road and doing work and everything else. And this place sometimes would get just a little bit crummy.
Just a little bit. That's where you did your feather bedding, Grandpa?
In fact, one of the beds that's in the carport was a caboose mattress that I had for years. One of those mattresses out there is one that I had for years. It's about 4 inches shorter than the regular bed mattress. I had to have it made special because the regular bed mattress just wouldn't quite go in these beds. And me being 6'1", you can imagine how I got along.
We used to. Every conductor, assigned conductor, had his own caboose. When you became a conductor or promoted conductor and you were assigned to a turn, you had your own caboose. And it was up to you to decide whether or not the brakeman got to stay on the caboose. If a conductor said that a guy, you know, he didn't bathe proper or regular or he didn't do the work, the conductor would boot him off the caboose, and it was up to the man to find. He had to find a job. He had to find a conductor who would take him, and go from there with it. You know, a conductor that he could hold seniority with, and they'd hire another man out to take his place. And every time the train would come in, we'd cut the cabooses off. We'd Mr. Trent, if your caboose would come in, we'd cut your caboose away, right?
Yeah.
Take your caboose, and they take it down here about, well, where we first started. There's an old track in there, and it was called the cab track. And we'd stick his caboose in the cab track, and take the next caboose for an eastbound train, for example, and stick that caboose on, and that conductor and his crew were called, and they went. And that was their caboose, and they went with their caboose. And then you could tell how many times out you were by looking at the caboose track and seeing where your caboose was in the caboose track. If it was 4 times out, 4 times deep in the track, then you knew that they were going to run 4 more trains before it was your turn to go. So that's basically how a lot of the guys would tell you how many times out they were.
Now you were talking about the cab track being up there.
Right,
so it was up there on the right-hand side, and then they moved it down here for a little while.
Right.
And but anyway, what he was telling you is just exactly the way it worked. And we had these cabooses all painted up and fixed up for ourselves. And And then eventually, just about time I was holding a regular caboose, why, 0547, why, then they took the cabooses away from us and provided places in the Harvey houses, stuff on the end of the line for us to stay in. And so I had very little time on the caboose where I was the conductor, the head E. But you two all worked there at that table, and as I said, we cooked it, we did everything on here, and we would, I broke for old John Purdy for about 5 years with two regular breaks. Roy Adams, you knew Roy Adams. Now, up here, we always, when I was on the caboose, why, regular, we had two brakemen. The one was a brakeman, one was a flagman, and the conductor. All three of us rode back here on the train. And we would sit up there in that seat up there when the train was moving. Whenever the train was moving, there was always one or two men in that cupola all the time. And watching the curves, watching the train as it went around every curve.
Why?
And we were looking for
smoke
or
and
dust or some lumber unloading or
hot box.
Hot box smoke would usually be brakes or hot box, and we were looking for trouble, and that was exactly it. We were looking for trouble. Whenever we saw something, we stopped, and at first we used to have to pull the air, but then we got the radios. Cliff, you'll understand this on the air. He showed you up there how he set the air to set the brakes on the train. Well, what he would do, this is just exactly opposite from a truck air brakes. A truck air brakes, you pump the pressure on. You have the compressor and you pump it up from 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds of pressure against the brake drum. And on this, you pump them off. You have a reserve auxiliary tanks on every car and on the engine that you have a high pressure up there. You pump the brakes off, and then whenever that train line breaks, see this coupled together from one car to the next. Whenever that train line breaks, or whenever the pressure is decreased in that train line, you have to have 80 pounds of pressure to have your brakes full release. And then whenever that got decreased for any reason, if the train broke in two, or one of those hoses broke, or anything that happened, why, then those auxiliary tanks would just throw the pressure right against those brake drums and you'd be stopped. So it's just exactly the opposite from a diesel truck.
Tell the kids what a hot box was and how you took care of hot boxes.
Well, I can show you outside better than that. And in here. Those of you that want to go up there and take a look out of there, come on out of there, Chuck. You're not hired to run this train. Come on. Come on down.
That way, if you fall, you bust your chin.
As opposed to.
Just get up.
And what do they do up there?
That's where you watch the train. Anytime the train's moving,
Nice, kick back.
2 men up
Open
there.
up that Pepsi in.
Nowadays, there's only one. And a lot of trains that don't even have this.
Is this juice?
A dog is one that's going to just drag itself across the territory. It won't be what we call a shooter. A shooter is a hot 70-mile-an-hour train. A dog is one that you're lucky if you go 30 miles an hour on it.
And you just pop everywhere to do work.
Yeah, it doesn't stop everywhere.
I want to go.
You want to go on the dog, yeah? Well,
I want to ride on the red tape.
we'll wait till we get Bear home and then we'll let you ride the dog. We got a couple of big jets. We've got a couple of big Bouvier dogs. That's the kind of dog. All right.
Mom Marsh.
Running smile.
Mom, we should talk about the hot box out here.
Track, and they're placed so many, about a half a mile from the train that you're protecting. If a train comes up behind you, he hits these, and they're called guns, and they go off, and the engineer can hear them. And when he hits the guns, he has to stop.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
The train was pulling this way. I took there with my suitcase and every lunch, lantern, and everything else that I had right here. And if you got on over 10 miles an hour, you're asking for trouble because you can throw you a lot of times. But up to 5 miles an hour would be fine. And you'd hit this, kick this foot in the air, and the train coming by would catch you and just throw all your stuff up in there, and the forward motion of the train, you learned how to just let the train pick you up. It just swing you right up there. That's the reason my right shoulder is
bursitis.
He told me it's worn out.
Yeah. And you always got on or off. Trains. On which end?
On the trailing end.
There you go.
Always.
The reason being, if you slipped, where was the train going? The other way. See, and you ended up in a pile down here, and everyone laughed at you, but at least you didn't get run over.
Oh man.
Now these are journal boxes. Now these have roller bearings in them, this type. But like any roller, any bearing, it'll get hot. And we could never fix these. We'd have to just set this car out or limp it into town somewhere. But we used to have a regular old journal box. The journal is where the part that sticks out like this. It's just a shaft comes out here from there, and we had the brasses set on top of it. There's a brass bearing, and then the weight of this train, the frame and everything, was right down on that brass bearing. And we had packing underneath it, plain old wool-like packing, and underneath it, and we had oil cans that we could fill up, and we had jacks that we'd jack the thing up, put a new brass in it, and be on our way. Sometimes that'd work, and sometimes the journal was so rough that we wouldn't get very far, and I'd even put a little sand in there to smooth that journal out. So, but anyway, we learned to work with them. We'd take them in. If it was at all possible, we'd take them in.
Were you ever late?
Ever late?
No, and you didn't get on the train.
That's not in any railman's vocabulary.
Late, never late.
So hot boxes, when that journal would get hot, friction from turning it just get hot. Just like on electric motor, you've got a little bearing in there, it'll get hot.
How could you see that from the truck?
The smoke. Smoke.
And if it was on the caboose, the smell would come in that dirty old, the saddest smell that you ever smelled. Anytime we smelled that, we'd say, oh.
Yeah. If you had to set your caboose out, you were in big trouble. See, that's...
Yeah.
We never set them out. We'd limp them in.
You figure it in somehow, yeah.
You'd find some way.
But you can see,
Motivation.
this is called a truck, believe it or not. Okay? And the side frame, which is this piece here, it's all just sort of, it sits on there by weight. Everything just basically, you could jack this engine or this caboose up, and it would come apart right here. Well, it wouldn't now because the keepers are in down here, but you'd lift it right up off the wheels and leave the wheels sitting there with the keepers in. Underneath there's a pivot and a pin, and that's all that it sits on. It just rides on a pivot, on a pin under there, and you can just pick this, and the whole body would just lift right off the truck. And that's what happens in a derailment. Those trucks and everything just go everywhere. And when they do, then we put them all back together again and set it right back on there if we can, if it hasn't tore it up too bad.
Get the wrecker out there and pick up the trucks and set them over on the rail, and then pick up the car. A lot of times roll the car off and in the wheat and burn it.
Yeah, or bury it. We used to do that. We don't anymore. They pick up everything anymore.
They pick up everything.
Everything.
boy,
Just
I
re-scrap
buried
it?
nine cars over this side of the Challenger one time.
Is that right?
On a record.
How do you bury it?
Dig a big hole and bury it.
With
Very
shovels,
much
as in
shovels?
men power?
No, bulldozers.
Bulldozer.
And
So
front-end loaders.
you'd be out there still digging those holes.
One night over this side of the chamber. Well, I'll tell these stories later.
Okay.
But well, we sure do appreciate your taking the time. Might have had to switch out an engine because one of them broke down. Something little trouble with one of them. Put another in this way.
Back and forth.
Where's the dispatcher, engine dispatcher work out of now?
The crew office is downstairs
Oh, not gas at all.
in
on
the
Will they go through there?
Martin's open shop. Taking pictures.
This is not great. Really.
Marco, get back there. I didn't get you very good, Jerry.
Hey, Mom.
You're all coming over to the house.
Lee Stratton.
He'll be at the hayride Wednesday. So you be sure you send your kids. I said, boy, such good looking kids.
Well, this is your last chance right now.
Okay, let's over here. Let's stand out just a minute. Just a minute. Well, I want one from each of their traces of truth first. Hold on. Wait, I'll get a couple of them so we can like that. Oh, I got plenty. Hold on just a second. Okay. Now, Willie or Deborah, get in there. Smile, Fisher. Come on, Willie, give me a smile. All right, Deborah. move. Come on, David, you can't move, babe. Okay, now all of you up there. Everybody up there. All three. Come on, boys. Let's sit there with your grandparents.
Let you get in front of that.
I got Charles. Yeah, just a second. I want to get you focused. Dad knows it's kind of hard to focus on sometimes. Because I got it from him.
Stand still, boy.
Okay, Willie, stand still. I'm going to take two or three of these because there's a lot of you. Smile. Dad, what's that drugstore Indian? There you go. Come on, Carolyn. You look gorgeous.
Don't even smile.
Everybody hold still. Hold still. Got to get two or three of these. All right. Willie, come on. Just a regular smile. Like you're catching a fish. That's good. There we go. Hold still. Debbie, you keep moving. Debbie, don't move. Stand up there. Come on. Smile.
Say Mississippi, Willie.
I get
That'll do it. Wave. Get your sister. The family. Okay.
Get up.
What's Robert doing?
Where's Willie? How long before you do that?
No resemblance. Oh, there isn't really. Well, you can really sit in the mirror.
Okay. This is from the whole family. Where's Willie? Make sure I get the right one. This is from all of our family. Dana, the Strattons, and the Oakleyshaws. Yeah, that one's yours. Debbie, I'll come up and see what you got.
Big ones.
You get that.
Oh, that's the store.
Now, in this book, it's going to be, we're going to fill it out, and your grandpa gets to sign it, and your mama gets to sign it, and write your special letter in there. We're going to fill it out fast. Marcia really wanted you to have that. That goes with the tape and the song we sang. Mormon Monopoly.
Thank you.
You betcha. You guys have fun with those.
Sign this, sign this, sign this.
You know the song we sang last night? That's
Nobody
the book that goes with the song and the tape.
Yeah.
That's the book that goes with the song and the tape. All right, let's go home.
When we get home, we have something more.
I don't know.
That is busy.
Grab hold of Willie first.
Get over here.
I'm going in a different car. I'm going in stuff. I'm going
Get close together.
in
Right in front of Scott. Right there in front of Scott. Maybe. My mom. From now on, you don't have to go to all those pictures.
I want that.
I've got some way. Just
I knew it. I knew it. Sam Olsen show. I got it. Hey, look, it is.
Took a lot of
We'll go out to Lake Mary and we'll
And they're connected to the scratch. And I've got to go home now and read my genealogy. See how close. I lost all last year. That's
That way. Okay, Jim, both right after.
Okay, Mark, let's go.
Yeah.